Günaydın herkese.
Selamlar, hoş geldiniz.
Bu sabah erkenden geldiniz, başladınız. Teşekkür ederiz öncelikle gösterdiğiniz bilgi için. Çok güzel bir gün olacak, çok dolu dolu bir gün olacak. Biz çok kısaca burada olacağız, ondan sonra bizi çok görmeyeceksiniz. Aralarda biraz böyle bir emsilik yapacağız. Bugünün amacından biraz bahsetmek istiyoruz, birlikten biraz bahsetmek istiyoruz. Sonra da zaten artık günümüze başlarız. Şimdi Brick Institute olarak bizim amacımız, daha önceki etkinliklerde de çalışmışlığımız, görüşmüşlüğümüz insanlar var, eğitimlerimize katılanlar var aramızda. Ama amacımız ürün geliştirenlerin okulu olmak, bu tasarım, UI, UX, design, product, AI, her türlü aslında ürün geliştirmeyi biraz daha genişletiyoruz. Çünkü hepimiz aslında ürün geliştiren kişiler olarak kendimizi görüyoruz. Buradaki bilgi dağarcığını aslında arttırmak ve global standartlarda ürünler geliştirmek. İşte o tool'lar metaforunu kullanmayı seviyoruz malum, ismimizin içinde var. Bir tool'a üst üste koyarak aslında buradaki o bilgi dağarcığını arttırmaya çalışıyoruz. Bu gibi etkinlikler de bizim için aslında bilgi ve deneyim paylaşımı etkinlikleri. O yüzden hani burada sadece hani burada olanlar değil, herkesin birbirinden öğreneceği bir alan olması için çalışıyoruz aslında.
Evet, yılda 2 kez eval yapıyoruz arkadaşlar ki bu sayıyı arttırmakla alakalı ben sürekli Eren'a baskıda yapıyorum. Bakarsınız önümüzdeki yıl bu sayı 3 ya da 4'e gidebilir ama geçen yıl ve bu yıl üzerinde yaparsak, konuşursak Mayıs ayında ana konferansımız var. İşte bir gün tasarım günü, bir gün ürün yönetimi günü şeklinde gidiyor. Aralık ayında, Kasım ya da Aralık ayında ise daha bugünkü gibi workshop odaklı, işte birilerinin bir şeyi yaptıklarını anlattığı ya da hadi beraber yapalım dediği bir yapıda bir etkinliğimiz oluyor. Geçen yıl tasarım sistemleri üzerine daha çok tasarım odaklı bir yapı yapmıştık. Bu yıl ise hazır herkes ürünlerin içerisine AI ekliyorken, AI ile ürün geliştiriyorken ve bununla alakalı çok fazla know-how etrafta varken bunların paylaşılmasını istedik ki tahmin ediyorsunuz, siz de takip ediyorsunuzdur her gün. Hem yöneticilerimiz bize AI ile ne yapıyorsunuz, ne yapacaksınız soru soruyor. Arada bir LinkedIn linkleri paylaşıyor, bak rakip neler yapmış. Siz böyle oturduğunuz yerde şeklinde. Ama yakın zamanda bir video da paylaştık. Ya FOMO'ya kapılmaya hiç gerek yok bu noktada arkadaşlar. 3 hafta sonra hangi imaj modelinin, hangi metin modelinin gelip de hayatımızı bambaşka bir yere taşıyacağını bilemediğimiz bir dünyadayız. O yüzden FOMO'ya kapılmadan nasıl üretebiliriz, neler odaklanabiliriz odaklı bir gün olacak bugün. Mayıs ayında ise tekrar ana konferansımızı yapıyor olacağız. Oraya da bekleriz hepinizi diyorum.
Ya bugün sonra da anlattığım amacı hani diğer konferanstan farklı olarak daha uygulamalı. O yüzden zaten önünüzde masalar var. Sağ olun bilgisayarınıza geldiniz, cursör'ü download ettiniz. Uygulamalı olarak aslında yapacağımız paylaşımlar olacak. Günün ilk kısmı Hendrik'le beraber birazdan da kendisini takdim edeceğim. Tamamen uygulamalı bir çalışma olacak. Sonrasında hem anlatımlar, paylaşımlar, deneyim paylaşımları hem de yine böyle bir demoların da olduğu session'lar olacak diyorum. Çok kısaca şeyden bahsedeyim. Şu çıkışta solda bir tane çark, belki görmüşsünüzdür, sesini duymuşsunuzdur. Orada hediyeler dağıtıyoruz malum işte yılbaşı temasıyla. Oraya uğrayabilirsiniz. Öğlen yemeğinde üst kata çıkacağız. Bir veya iki kat üstte biz zaten onun bilgisini veririz. Onun dışında ekip zaten burada herhangi bir sorunuz olursa bize sorabilirsiniz. Umarım keyifli bir gün olur hepimiz için. Teşekkürler tekrardan geldiğiniz için.
Amacımız da evet, son olarak her türlü yorumunuzu da açacağız arkadaşlar. Gün sonunda lütfen bizimle paylaşın bunu. Eren'in yine çok güzel bir KPI var bir konferans için. Dakika başına insight diye. Gerçekten burada işte biz de AI ile metin yazdırıyoruz basitliğinde bir şey duymamanızı isteriz. Daha çok bak biz bunu böyle kullanırız insight'larını yakalamanızı isteriz. Buradan başka konferanslara laf atmıyoruz. Lütfen yanlış anlaşılmasın ama konferans dediğimizde organizasyon genelde sponsorların gelip kendini anlattığı bir yere dönüşüyor yani yazık. Oysa Brick'in yaklaşımı bu değil. Yani burada bir gün bir şeyler öğrenmenizi istiyoruz. Çünkü öğrenmek çoğu zaman birisinin gelip bize bir şeyler anlatmasıyla yaşanmıyor. Bugün belki de dinleyici başka bir arkadaşınızdan bir şey öğreniyor olacaksınız. Belki birisine siz bir şey öğretiyor olacaksınız. Burada duyduğunuz şeyi kendi şirketinizde nasıl kullandığınızı anlatarak. O yüzden umarım dakika başı insight'lı bol bir gün olur diyorum. Evet, daha fazla sözü
İlk konuşmacımıza başlayalım. We'll start with our first speaker, Hendrik Hemken. He is the founder of Beyond 7. He's an AI educator. He's a product person, he's a product leader. He scaled fintech teams before. And now he's going to talk about using Cursor as a product OS. How can we use Cursor as a sideboard, as a side agent, whatever you want to call it. Welcome, Hendrik. The stage is yours.
Thanks. Test 1, 2. Test, perfect. Thanks a lot for the introduction. Let's get the audio going. All right. Yes, welcome. Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to have the first part here at the conference. Let's figure out that this doesn't have a weird test. Yeah, okay. All right. So, building a product OS using Cursor. This is something that has moved me through the early times of AI. Like, how can I use AI for my product work? Is it just me that I'm hearing the feedback somehow? It's a bit okay. So can we somehow figure this out? Like the feedback is kind of there. Yeah, we'll continue. All right. So first, I don't like presentation. You will find out why. And we will have more demos than actually talk about the presentation. So I will leave this mode and we will stay here and look at the actual demo. So, but let's start. So who am I? I'm Hendrik. I'm 42. I am 12 years in product right now. I've mostly been in fintech companies in Hamburg, Germany, and doing PM work, later CPO work on the management level. And in the last 4 years, I've been CPO. That's way better. Last 4 years, I've been CPO at a company called Deal Circle in Hamburg. We're doing M&A AI topics for M&A advisors. So we're helping them matching M&A projects, like company that should be sold to a good buyer. So we are creating buyer lists basically based on AI, based on a huge database. And later when the generative AI came into the picture, we of course applied that as well. We first started with the old school recommender AI system, which most of you should have heard. Based on our data, we could recommend a good buyer for a given company that should be sold. So that was something we applied quite early because it made sense. We had a huge amount of data and we could make good recommendations for a company being sold. In the last 2 years, this accelerated through generative AI because we could do way more than that. And we had scaled our system, creating a good buyer list with AI workflows. We won't talk about that today, but just as a reference, that was my starting journey. And now for 5 months now, I'm doing consulting work. So I left the company for good. I'm going back once in a while and teaching people how to apply AI, because that was what I was doing the last 2 years. Actually, as a CPO, I was happy and able to dedicate, 30% or 40% of my work solely to discover new AI tools, like how it's working, because we were able to apply it and it helped us in our processes extremely. Like we were scaling, we were getting 3 times as fast 3 times as fast. So not for our developers necessarily. They weren't the ones that were picking up like Claude Code, Cursor, and all the automatic code generation tools, but more through workflows. And this was so exciting that I said, well, I need to do this full time. This is just too fun. And it works extremely well. I've seen it, we scaled it, and that's where we are now. So I'm now doing consulting, leadership, yada, yada, whatever. We can talk about that afterwards. But today we will focus on something else. But before we start, let's quickly clear the field a bit. So we will do demos today, a lot of demos. Things will not work. Things will fail. My first workshop I gave, Claude or Anthropic was down for 3 hours. So that was quite tense to get through the workshop. We did it anyway. It was good in the end because it came back up. But it's a bit unpredictable. And as you know, AI, like the generative AI part, they are unpredictable. That's the core of the nature, more or less. So things might fail. And we are 150 people. This is by far the biggest workshop I ever done for those kind of demos. So we would like, of course, a bit of like incorporating you and your ideas into whatever we do, because that should be for you. You should go out and have something for you to take and work on from here. So we'd love to interact somehow. So let's start with who is using ChatGPT once in a while. So just the interaction check, every hands go up, I guess. So who is using ChatGPT for actual use cases of their PM work? Yeah, it's enough when you write an email with it. So just getting a clear field. So, but ChatGPT has substantial issues. Like there are issues or things that ChatGPT is not able to do. I guess you all know ChatGPT has some kind of memory so far. They build it into the application. By the way, who's using something else than ChatGPT? Yeah, nice. Who's using Claude? Claude Desktop, maybe? There are some. Nice. I'm a big fan of Claude. So basically what I did was, for the conference, we translated what Claude Code was capable of into Cursor. So that was where we're coming from. And yeah, but continue with ChatGPT. You can upload documents. It has a memory, and when you ask it, it will try to look into those files. Who is happy with the way it retrieves information from files you uploaded? Like, does it work good for you? Hands up if you are happy with the way it looks into uploaded files. Who are using uploaded files in ChatGPT? Let's start maybe here. No, there's one hand. Who's uploading files into ChatGPT to show it, well, that's what we're doing, maybe something about me, some information, there's a hand going up. Yeah, I get it. I'm not using it. That's because it doesn't work that well. It has hard limitations here. And the worst thing is updating those documents, because you need to maybe change, download them. You don't necessarily have to, because you have them most likely on the laptop, but you have to update them. My boss changed, my project changed, and so on and so forth. That is a pain in the ass. And nobody does like it. So, and some work does require too much information for just a prompt or just a document, right? If you don't have everything written to the documents, and the way those documents and those retrieval techniques are working is you don't retrieve the whole document, you retrieve chunks. We don't go into detail, but the whole uploading work or uploading information into ChatGPT doesn't work that well. So working with ChatGPT as a PM is not the best thing to do, and all the other tools that are living in the browser, like the browser tools and most of the desktop tools as well, they are not the best in everything that where you upload documents and try to solve hard tasks with the AI. By the way, who is using integrations in ChatGPT or Claude Desktop? Integrations, somebody? There's 2 hands. There's a hand. What kind of integration? I'm curious.
Well, the skills.
The skills. Claude skills. Nice.
Claude Figma.
Claude Figma, MCP, right? Okay, really good, really good. There were two hands. Yeah, a bit far away, but careful. Sorry?
Using the skills and the other building into the visual studio.
Nice. Okay.
Maybe I am building some recipes.
There's somebody who knows what he's talking about. I think we will learn about MCPs later, right?
Yeah, that's me.
That's you. I got it. So we won't go into MCPs because he needs to say some, or needs to have some place here as well. But yeah, let's go on. And another issue I learned about, the output and the whole knowledge of ChatGPT is living in the chats. So were you going back into the chats and maybe continue one conversation in one chat because there was something that you discussed with ChatGPT in? Like clicking on the left-hand side, select a chat, and keep on a conversation because it was some topic that you want to solve. Has somebody of you done that? That is an issue because nobody likes to live in, or information shouldn't live in chats. That is just a thing that ChatGPT, of course, as a chat engine brought with it, but it shouldn't be the case. So we will have two main topics for today. The first, how to give proper context about yourself and keep it persistent and let it update automatically so you don't have to upload documents, for example. And the second part is how to do big tasks and complex tasks that exceed just a prompt, because that could be way too hard for just an LLM to answer, because it needs more context and more information. So the solution, like just on a higher level, you want to feed the right context for whatever you're doing, like about you, about your company, about your team, about your product. You want to feed it into the AI so it knows the context and can give good answers to your questions, I want to create a PRD for my new feature, so it needs the context, what the feature and the product is about in order to do this properly. And you want to let it manage and update all the context for you in the best case. And you want to build a system around that that you can change, that is maybe adaptable to other tools. And that's what certain times of a suite of tools is able to do. Don't ask the question like who knows Cursor, but who has Cursor, who has worked with Cursor before? There's one person. Nice. A couple of more people. Did you use the agent mode as well? Like the Nice, okay. What did you use it for? For vibe coding and prototyping? That's a good use case, of course.
Just like asking the code, asking the Jira tasks.
Yeah, nice, okay. So you did connect Jira, right? Nice. So those tools have all the upsides and they work exactly like ChatGPT, like they are chat tools. More or less. But they have a big upside. They can be way more than that because they have two main benefits. First, they have access to your file system, which is huge. So access to your file system, we will see in a minute, that is the big differentiator between those tools and ChatGPT. ChatGPT lives in the browser, lives in the cloud somewhere, and it doesn't work with your files. It doesn't know what you're working with, and it's really hard to give them good context other than uploading documents, which I'm still not a big fan of. And they have ways to manage that context in a smart way. The sole purpose is about to manage that context, and we will see in a minute how that works. By the way, context. Let's take an example for context for everybody who doesn't know the term that good. So context is just everything that maybe involves a task to be executed properly. It could be context about you, about your product, your company, and so on and so forth. So why does context matter? The information that you hand over to the AI, like the context, is the main deciding factor for good outputs. Of course, the training of the model is a big thing, but we cannot influence that. We don't want to fine-tune a model. That's not something we want to do at all, definitely not as users. But the context that we hand over. And it was long mentioned as prompt engineering, that write good prompts, send them over properly and structure it, and then you get good outputs, which is true to an extent, but we will find out why maybe there are better ways to do so. But what is inside of the context? Everything that you write with ChatGPT is context. So if you write the first message and the answer goes into the context window. Then if you write the second message, the answer of the first message and the second message both go again to ChatGPT and will read it, and it will depend its answer based on it. And that's way more going into the context window, like what is sent to the AI, than just the message or the messages. We have an example here. We have like system instructions, not perfectly readable. We have certain files that go in there. There are MCP tools, like the person up there will show you later. And there are all the user message and everything that it does. So the context window, like everything we send over to the AI, will get cluttered the longer a conversation lasts and the more you interact with it. Which is good, because you want it to have a long conversation, because it contains all the context of what you want to achieve, and it's good to build up that conversation. But at the same time, it can be cluttered. Like it will be cluttered because of many words, many tokens in it that could distract the AI. But at the other hand, it sure will steer the conversation into a good direction if you lead it properly. So if it gets messy and the context, and there are two reasons for it, how to get messy, the AI will give wrong answers. So somebody heard the phrase, "Oh, you're absolutely right," when you spot something that wasn't correct, or it wasn't interpreted in a good way from the AI. That happens when the context window is too full and you have too much that you send over. It normally happens when you have a long conversation and the context window is filled, and you send everything over, and it is not able to differentiate the start of the conversation and the end, and maybe you have going in a different direction at a certain time, and it didn't get it that they used a different path. So how to go about that? But let's start a little bit earlier. You're normally sending one prompt to the LLM and you get an output, right? This is a poem about cats. That is quite easy, but then you have actually you have more behind the curtain than just the prompt. And this is what I told you. This is the context window that's sent over. You have the poem, then you have maybe a system prompt, like how the AI should answer or how the output should be framed. This is you're like an English nobleman living in the 17th century, and this will change the output, of course. You give examples. That is a good way to steer the conversation as well. Give examples how the AI should answer, and below there are all previous messages that will be sent over as well. So just have a visual representation of what I just said, and to make a really quick excursus. Those are tokens. That is the things that are sent to the AI. It's not letters. It's words, and the words are tokenized. And every word, like to, date, the comma as well, the clever, like every rectangle is basically a token, and that is what the output is. And those will go into the context window. It's not the letters. It's those tokens. And how big is a context window? Like how high is the number of tokens that you are able to send to the AI to get a proper answer? So the maximum we currently have, I think, is 1 million token. It's Gemini. It's Google's Gemini version, and you can add 1 million token or send 1 million token to Gemini to get an answer. Do you want to do that? No. We will have a look why in a second. But you have the capability, or the LLM has the capability to work with the 1 million token and give you proper output before it says, no, I cannot do this anymore. So those books are basically 1 million token. And the normal, well, let's say, don't know, normal is maybe not the right thing to say, but the Claude, for example, like the Claude models, Opus and Sonnet, they have a context window of 200,000 token. You can say, well, that's the Linux book. right? And ChatGPT 5.2 has a context window of 400,000 tokens. So it is a big factor what you could send over, but you don't want to use all that context or the full context window. You want to reduce it because there is, after a certain amount of context in the window, there's a dump zone, like a zone where the AI doesn't get, you won't get a good output, or the likelihood that you don't get a good output is higher than in the smart zone. So it happens. This is not not scientifically proven, but this is a rough estimate. 40% of context used will be the smart zone, where the answers will be quite good, like pretty good. But above that, you have to be careful. The harder the task, the harder the work that the AI has to do, the more careful you should do, specifically in the dump zone. This is of course hard for people who are working with big contexts or with large files, and of course developers are the kind of people who have to be most careful not to clutter that context window too hard. So the issue is a lot of files will already clutter, I don't know, 10% of the context window quite quickly. So you don't have that much place to move. And ChatGPT doesn't give you those information, right? You cannot see in ChatGPT how much of the context are already used and where am I in the context window. That is an issue. So you cannot steer it properly. So there are tools, for example, Cursor, they are showing it a bit better how to do. We'll have a look in a second. But just, you've heard that, you don't want to fill up context, you want to fill the good context, so you want to give a good direction, you don't want to have clutter in there, you want to give enough information in order to complete the task, so it doesn't hallucinate or tries to create an answer based off its training, and that's maybe not likely to give you the exact answer that you like. So you need to feed it good information to get a proper output. And again, you want to stay in the area of good context, right? So it doesn't help when you make the context window bigger, because the amount of token that it has to go through is still pretty high. So I wouldn't want to, even if I have 1 million token as the maximum number, I wouldn't go and fill it half up to 500,000 tokens. This will still be confusing. So you want to clean up the context window as often as possible. So, how to give proper context about yourself and keep it updated. Let's dive in. We will jump into Cursor right now. So who has Cursor installed on their laptop? Nice. Many hands up. Do you have it open right now? So let's jump into the first. You most likely don't have this open, right? So you most likely start with this window. Who has that open right now? Okay, so next thing, you need a folder on your desktop. Like, create a folder on your desktop, a blank folder. It could be My Assistant or My PM Assistant or whatever. Create it on the desktop right now. Do this. And let's proceed. Click Open Project. Go to your desktop and click whatever folder you just created and open it here. I don't do it. I have already opened it. And that's what you should see. Everybody did it? Nice. There are some issues with opening it. Just, I know, 150 people. It's tough to go into debugging individual cursor issues, but let's go from here. So what do we have here? Cursor is basically an IDE, it's a system to manage files and to do developing work, like a developer. That is a system that developers are using. It's a fork of VS Code, which is an IDE as well, like an editor to do coding. But we won't code all the tools that are called Cloud Code and Cursor. They are not necessary for coding. I would actually go as far as saying they are better for non-coding tasks than for coding tasks. Or they're easier to use for those tasks. So we want to use them. They have really bad marketing. Specifically, Cloud Code said, well, we actually are not happy with the marketing it got because finance people will use Cloud Code more and more, and every knowledge worker on the world would want to use it. So this is what you should see. On the left, let's see what we have here. Where's my cursor? So we have on the left-hand side, we have we have the folder that we just opened. This is just the folder on the desktop. It's nothing else. You just see a folder here. I will see some screenshots. I want to close this here. So this is a folder, right? Nothing else. I know I haven't worked in folders for years before doing that. Like I was only in browsers. I was working with Google Drive and I was working with other tools. And folders weren't the thing that I was actually using. Maybe for some like downloading invoices and put them somewhere and uploading them into a different desktop tool later. But this is coming back, and you have to change a bit your workflow if you want to use that. So folders are going to be a thing. Who is still using folders on his or her own computer to do his or her PM work? Like a folder structure, not anymore. Yeah, there are some. You're mostly using browser tools, right? Like Google Drive and stuff, yeah. So back to Cursor. So on the left-hand side, as I said, folders. Middle, we will in a second see there will be the files displayed that we select. And on the right-hand side, there are the agents. So here is basically ChatGPT, more or less. You can select which model you want to work with. I'm a big fan of Opus and all the Anthropic models, so I will choose that. If you have the Pro plan, I would say select Opus. If not, you can start and go with I think the Composer is the one that comes with the free plan. Should be fine, but I definitely would use the Anthropic models. So what you can do here is say, hi there, I'm here at a conference. I'm giving a talk about, or actually a workshop about Cursor. We were going to build some product management system here. Try to do it live, as good as it gets. And can you help me with that? So that's, I guess, who is using speech to text? Speech to text, hands raised. Yeah, there are already some. This is not magic. This is just a tool that translates my words into text, but it does one thing. You know, there are really bad speech to text tools out there that are just recording what you say, and all the uhs and ums and the pauses and maybe repeating yourself is visible then. But this is doing one thing. It sends the transcript to an AI. It cleans the clutter, and it then adds in wherever the cursor is. Like I have a cursor blinking here, and that is a huge thing. I cannot say enough and mention enough how big of a change this is to use speech. You want to talk with the AI. If you want to work with the AI on a regular basis, you want and you need to talk. I would say you really need to talk, because the amount of conversation and content and context about what you're doing that you would need to type is so big that it feels really bad to use it. Like on some workshops, they looked at all the files that I had here and everything that added into Cursor and let it run. They say, oh, I don't want to type that. That's way too much. I'm like typing, but not that much. So it's a complete different game when you speak. And it has one more thing. You should speak more casually, right? It's not that the prompt engineering thing, engineering prompts felt like something that you need to learn, something you need to figure out, how to write a good prompt, how to make it exactly that the LLM is understanding what I want from it. And that's actually the wrong approach. I yesterday talked about that, and you want to develop the prompt together with the AI. So you want to talk with the AI and say what you like and what you want, what your goal is, what your target is. I just said where we are and what we want to do, and I didn't sit down and see how can I structure this with bullet points and try to make it perfect. You don't want to make it perfect, like not for a conversation. You want together to iterate on it and make it perfect. And what the main thing you want to achieve is alignment. You want it to understand what you want to achieve and then reach the goal together with it. So you want to make it understand what you mean and see, does it get it? Like, does it understand what I want from it? It could be that you formulate a prompt and you think okay, somebody has to understand when he or she reads it, but the LLM is not. And then there's the issue that you have a misunderstanding and you go into different directions. So what did it do? You can, of course, make it a little bit wider. So, hey, that's also a live workshop building product management system, blah, blah, blah. Tech stack, would you like to build this? Python, hi. It wants to jump into coding. No, we're not coding. And we will tell them how to cover that. UI style, okay. So let's quickly jump back into the presentation to see. So we open folders, files, chat agent on the right. Here, by the way, those are the chat windows that you normally have on the left-hand side. So that's basically the same. And yeah, that should be bigger. By the way, here's the context window displayed. That is a really valuable information. You see how much of the context is currently in use, and it's already cluttered by a bunch of system prompt information, files, and cursor individual prompts, system prompts that it is using. So, something else. Right. Then one more thing we will dive into in a second. There are some settings. Like, of course, cursor has some settings that you can put in here. I will have some examples in a second. But just that you know, the settings are relevant for some tasks. But let's jump in. So how does now cursor or the AI interact with my file system? No, we won't code anything. We won't build anything from Python or other tools. We want to use the cursor functionality, like using Claude.md files. We won't use agents.md. And we want to create a file directory or a file system that is representing our product work. That is how we want to approach that. No UI, we want to work here in cursor. And let's start with a first file. Could you create just a dummy example file? It should be a markdown file, and add a poem about cats to it, just as an example. We will delete it later. So that works quite nicely with the... It could be that this text somehow is messed up a bit because it is speech to text. It is not always recognizes the abbreviations and I know some company-specific wording and lingo. So you should look into it. This looks good. You don't often have to check it. English works a bit better than other languages, but I'm normally communicating in German with it. That's working perfectly fine. Turkish is fine as well, I heard. So we will definitely go with that. It's way easier than typing. Cannot stress this enough. So what he did while I was talking, he's created an example file, right? And this is This is a file in my folder. Let's see. So not magic, it just created the file. And if I open the file, you see the file in the middle. And you want to see files. You want to read them. They should be readable. That's a good thing. It's not code. It's written file that I can read. So what you want to establish is a way to work with the assistant together on the same files, look at the files, give it feedback, what you like, what not, and let him change the file, for example. So let's go for it. And all right, thanks. Could you do the poem in Turkish? So not a big thing. I think I have to close the file, otherwise. Oh yeah, it updated immediately. So it changes the files. Like it does it for and I cannot understate how big of an impact that is. We will see in a second why. And you only want to work to let cursor or the AI change the files. You don't want to do it yourself. Let's quickly talk about the MD issue here. That's an MD file. I had no idea about that their markdown files existed before I was going into that. They are not much more than just text files, a little bit differently formatted. They have a hierarchy of an automatic hierarchy, and the LLMs are perfectly trained to read them, to interpret them, and to output them. So GitHub is full of markdown files. That's why they're trained so good. Let's make an example. Could you show like how the markdown file is working with hierarchies and hashtags and so on and so forth, so that I'm explaining right now what markdown files are. So maybe it could be of help here. So let's see what it does. So you want to read the files, but you want to that the AI can read the files as well. So a markdown file is a perfect middle ground. You always want to work with markdown files. You can change them. You could mess up the format. That could happen, but still it can read it. Sorry for saying he, by the way. Like I'm working with Claude, and Claude is a male name, so I'm always talking with it like it would be a human. And maybe one word regarding that. Like I would treat it like a human. Many people are saying, well, don't treat the AI like humans. We don't want to humanize AI. That could be dangerous and so on and so forth. I would treat it as a human because that is the only way how you know how to interact with some assistant. You don't know how, like I don't know how to interact with an AI or a robot. There's nothing a human has learned, like how to interact with it. Should you be more strict? Should you be more easy? Should you be more casual with it? There are no patterns yet. So the only way that a human knows how to communicate with somebody that should help him is another human, maybe an assistant that is as smart as him or her, and that's what we want to do. So this is basically, took a bit. So make it a bit smaller. So that is basically the idea how markdown files work. You have heading levels. You know, everybody who's working with documents, like normal Word documents, you have like the heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, and they're differently formatted. You can read it, but the AI, the international language of AI is markdown files. And this is a big thing. And you're able to read this quite nicely as well. You have some strike through or bold things, so on and so forth. So that is the markdown files. What are we now? Settings, create a folder, create a file. Oh yeah. Perfect. Thanks a lot. Could you create some or one or two folders, like one folder for product and one folder for strategy? That would be perfect. And are you able to delete the example file because we don't need it anymore? I think I disabled his ability to delete files because maybe I don't want to tell you to use your own files. Then he maybe deletes something. That has never happened for me so far. So people are always careful, specifically when using Jira MCP or other integration, that the AI deletes all the Jira because you maybe spelled something incorrectly, right? Or you maybe you phrase it in a way that the AI interpreted it as you might want to delete your whole project. That's normally not working or not happening. Actually, when I ask it to it, do you really want to delete it? Do you not rather want to edit it? So that's the normal way it goes about that. So that could take time. Let's see. So what it does, it creates folders, which we will use in a second. But we need one more thing. Like those are, how does it know about those folders? We basically, what we did is cursor was initialized in that folder structure. So we started in that folder structure. It will see, or it is able to see everything that is built up within that folder structure. But it doesn't see it from the get-go. When it's loaded, it doesn't load automatically into the context window like all the files. That doesn't happen. It can go through the file and search for them because it has access to the terminal. Everybody hates the terminal, like not only PMs but developers as well. And nobody wants to work with it, but it's extremely helpful and a tool that the AI is perfectly at using. So it can perfectly find search files, it can list files, and knows all the quirky commands that the terminal is using or is offering. So you don't get those two folders in. You don't get it to know. Okay, there are two folders, right? If I start over. So basically what I did is just starting a new chat, like ChatGPT, and it doesn't have the context of the conversation I just had, right? Like it's a fresh conversation, new context window. Hi there, could you show me what folders are here? So it will of course find those, but only because it's searching for it, right? I told him, well, there should be folders. It should go, there are the folders, yeah. He knows them, but you need to tell him. And there's one thing we need to connect the context window of the AI that we saw in the beginning and load initial information about the project that we're working at or a folder system that we're working at. Load it into the context window properly at the beginning. There's one way to do it. And Claude Code and Cursor, they are more or less on the same page that something like that is needed. So they called it, or they used the same principle of doing so. Hi Cursor, all right, thanks a lot. Let's please create a claude.md file that is created at the root level and that shows the folder structure that we're using in this project. So you always know which files are in the system, what we're working with, and please write a bit of information about the product folder when you reference it. Like we're using it for all the files and tools of our product. We have some documentation there and some features there. And in the strategy folder, there will go some OKR documents, strategic documents, and we will want to work with them. So you see, I didn't prompt this prompt. It would take too long to really create a prompt out of that with bullet points. Do this, then that. It knows way better how to do it. I cannot state this enough. How big of a change that is. So what will it do right now? It will create a file, and the file is loaded into every conversation by default at the start. And this is the connection to the rest of your system that you're going to build. It will be the guidance for the AI how to behave, and not only with the file system, but with you as well. You want to give it information about yourself. You want to give it information about how it should answer. Otherwise it will mess up things. It will not delete everything, but it will create unnecessary to-do files. It will create unnecessary duplicated files because it's really eager to create a lot of files, specifically Claude, and the LLMs or the different AI models are quite kind of different. So you want to give it a bit more information. So what do we have here? We have a Claude.md file. This is the main thing, the navigation system of your operating system when you want to use this kind of file system with the AI. With Cursor, Claude Code, it's all the same. It's called Claude here because you can, there's a setting. Claude or Anthropic invented this kind of idea, right? They were really early with how to give good context into to AI, and they have. I didn't have it open here. Oh, I could open it here. So they have rules and commands. So in the settings, they have include Claude.md in context, so Cursor adapted to the way how Anthropic wanted the context engineering to start, and it was with the Claude.md file. You can use agents.md as well. That is the same file basically, but just to make it transferable to maybe a Claude system, you want to call it Claude.md. So let's close it up here. What's inside of that? Project structure. This document provides an overview of the folder structure and organization of the My Assistant project. Right? That's my folder. And it has here all the files in the folders. And it has a bit of more context, like what are the folders for. You have like the product here, and it can read that file really easily and really good, and it's the first file that's loaded up. So let's see if I open a new. Hey there, what is the product folder for? So that's a new conversation. It doesn't have the prompt that I gave before, but you want to, but it will. Yeah, well, so he reads the Claude.md because that's what he should do. And it lists the things that it reads in the Claude.md file. So that is something that is built in, which is the starting point for navigating the attention of the AI. That is the first part. There are a couple of more things how to go about that. Let's jump back into the presentation. Gradify, how does it see folders? I think we covered everything. So now the thing, this is a workshop, so we want to go forward. Do you have your cursor open in the file system? Then type into Cursor, hey Cursor, please create a Claude.md file. And this should be the file that is loaded for every step. But we need to do one more thing, actually. Before that, we need to go into the rules and commands and switch on this thing. Everybody sees it? You need to switch on this switch in order to make it work. You can type, of course. Now it would be painful if everybody would use speech to text here. So just type a quick note to the AI. Please create that file. See how it creates the file, how it works, and maybe tell it a bit about yourself, like your name or something, so it knows who it is working with and how maybe it should talk to you. Should it be really formal? Should it be really casual? I always like it to have it as a sparring partner on the same level. Be critical. We will have an example of a collection of good ideas what to put into the Claude.md file in a second, but just create the file first. Okay, thumbs up. Who did it? There were some hands up. Nice. Okay. So let's jump into, talked about that. Do not take 5 to 10 minutes to prepare a good prompt. That is definitely not something. So you want to I'm German, so Germans first start about privacy, start talking and thinking about privacy before anything else. So you might want to go into the settings to the general tab and click on the enable the privacy mode. You don't have to, but I always mention that. You are still sending over information to the AI. Like if you're using Claude Opus, you're sending information to Anthropic, to their servers. That is not something that you could switch off. So I've said that. Everybody decides for him or herself how to go about that. But I've disabled the privacy mode. But yeah, sending data to the AI is something we cannot not do. So what else do we have? I have the deletion enabled, like the deletion protection enabled. Decide for yourself. There's in the agents settings file the deletion protection for if you don't upload or initialize Claude in your Claude or the cursor in your working folder, then it won't matter that much anyway. We have done that. We have done that. So, an easy way to feed it your contacts is just download your LinkedIn profile, right, and upload it. That's not magic. Let me quickly do it. Let's see if I can drag it over. That should work. All right, please update my Claude.md file with some information about myself so you know who you're talking with and so on and so forth. That would be perfect. You can, or let's be really casual, but be a sparring, like a senior PM on the same level, sparrings partner. Please be critical at times when I go into a direction that doesn't make sense for the goal that we want to achieve. So some more information. We don't have to go into details here. But something that you could do as well, and what Claude and Cursor are really good for, is doing something like that. There we go. And now has anyone downloaded their full LinkedIn history yet? There's a functionality at LinkedIn where you can download everything that you did. It's a data privacy thing, but you can use it for other things, like find out what you reacted to, what you find interesting, or what you wrote, like about your writing style, for example, and let it read it. It's a horrible thing. And product managers are faced with a lot of CSV files from tools they are using, maybe for KPI management or something, which could look like that. And I wouldn't go through it myself and find out where is what, where is the information that I'm looking for. So, by the way, he updated blah, blah, blah, here you were talking to. So he does the changes. Right? That is, I'm not typing my profile in there. Like I'm not doing it. I'm uploading them. Yeah, I want to keep this. This is what Cursor asks quite often. You can review those changes here as well, because that is the beauty. And you should do this. You could specifically at the beginning, you should look at the changes that Cursor does, or the AI does, to get a feeling of how it's changing things and what it's changing. You can be more lean with it the longer you work with it, but you need to build up trust. That is something I really often hear. Can I really trust what the AI is doing? Can I let it loose blindly? There is a mode in Cursor and with all the other tools that let them just do whatever they like without asking for permission. Here you still at the end have the capabilities to say no, don't do the changes. So I did this. Now I will open up another thing. All right, thanks a lot. Now I added the complete LinkedIn data export here into the folder. Could you have a look and see what you can find there, what it could be useful for? Yeah. Without any direction, right? Like you want to discover what's in there sometimes, and I wouldn't want to open all the CSV files. They're horribly formatted. So he reads the files. You see, read profile, read connections, read position, messages, and so on and so forth. Sometimes he hit limits, or it's too large to open. Right? That is something you will see specifically for pictures. That it has issues to open a lot of pictures and because they load it into the context as well. And of course, Anthropic says, well, don't upload. I think 25 megabytes or 50 megabytes is somewhere the limit. Same with the token amount. So you will get there. So he will look through the thing and helps you identifying information. So what we have here, profile, your full profile, positions, education, your network, and so on and so forth. Content, blah, blah, blah. In order to work with me, what would you use or an add to the Claude.md file to better be able to work with me and maybe help me with my daily jobs, which could be writing LinkedIn posts as well. What do you think? So you let it do your work to an extent. You don't go through it. You don't decide what you want to add. It should do the work for you. And it will come up with a plan most likely, and then you are able to let it go. Right? First, Claude, it reads the Claude file, it reads what we already have, it compares it. Great foundation for LinkedIn posts and daily work. I suggest adding these sections. Let me first extract your writing voice from the actual posts. So it can extract tonality, it can do the same for emails, it can do the same for Jira tickets, it can do the same for basically everything else that you throw at it. So you just have to add it into the folder. And the beauty is that you can do this with ChatGPT and other browser tools as well. But the difference is that it will add it to your folder system or to a place where you can, in the next conversation, build upon. That's and he adds the Claude.md file because we added a new folder here, right? Like this is a new folder. It has a new, I don't know, I wouldn't leave that, like I would tell them to delete it afterwards if it's not needed, right? But he's creating the folder and the reference to the folder as well. So the folder structure is getting enriched and it does it automatically. I don't have to do it myself. By the way, of course, everybody who has cursor open, you can download your LinkedIn file as well. Downloading the full LinkedIn context takes a while. I think LinkedIn sends it to your email in case you want to use it. But that was just an example. So, where are we now? Feeded LinkedIn, feeded history. So what other files or folders could be helpful? I mean, now is the part where everybody could think about themselves, okay, what am I working with the whole day? Like, am I writing features? Am I managing people? Am I doing a lot of stakeholder meetings? Am I doing user interviews for designers as well? Do I need to prepare them? How do I want my PM work to be organized? And how do I want to interact with the AI with my files and to work with it? So you can choose, and that is something everybody has to discover for himself, because you know how different every PM job is, how different the environment is. So come up with your own setting. What would you choose? What folder would you create, or what are you doing on a regular basis? Are you working with the product directly or something, or more with people? How would you go about that?
Managing a team, so
Managing a team, yeah.
I listen to their problems and solve their problems about technical problems.
Technical problems? Yeah.
I recommend how to do their jobs.
Yeah. So mentoring, right? Maybe something you want to save there, because I'm doing it for my clients right now. The issue is I'm not in an operational product management role anymore, but exactly that's something that you want to do. You could save meetings with them. You could save, okay, that was the last point we were staying. Everybody has most likely a file who's managing people. This is our last talks. This is our talking points. This is the to-dos. You can write it here. Like to-dos could live here, and you could say, well, let's go get into the people room. Let's do it actually. All right. Let's create another folder. This is called my direct reports, like the people that I'm mentoring. It's all product managers. Please create 2 dummy PMs. One called Sarah, the other called Michael, and add some sections about how they are performing. Just make up some random information. So that's the idea to how to deal with it, and it works without further steering the conversation. It works already quite good out of the box if you until a certain size. Let's see what it does. It makes up. So he's of course hallucinating, like making something up because I asked it to. Normally, of course, I shouldn't do. Make dear, he creates the file, direct reports, Sarah Müller. Let's look at the file. So, and of course, you should, if you like, write here, right? Like write your update in your perspective. Like it's not that it's just written, or it has to be written by the AI. You should do and look inside there as well. It should be your reference as well, but you do together. So you have a helping hand. We have a strength, development areas. Well, talk about GDPR. You have to be careful what to send to the AI. Of course, that is something that the Germans are really caring about. So. Other use cases. Do you have? Let's go with you. I'm sorry for, but we try to make it a little bit interactive. What are you caring about in daily work?
Daily work.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Daily.
Maybe you?
Yeah, sure. My daily work.
Yes. What are the topics, the bigger topics that you're dealing with? Products, people. We had people already.
Developers first.
Pardon?
Developers.
Developers.
I'm working with developers first.
Yeah.
I'm not on the product side.
Ah, okay. What is your side?
Software development
Okay. Are you team lead or
director.
director? Okay. So you have the human part as well. You most likely have a lot of technical topics, which I'm actually a bit more excited about. The technical topics that you could do with Cursor. And are you using Cursor in your daily business?
Sometimes.
Okay. Do you use it for organizational stuff or mainly for coding?
Not yet.
Okay. Can really recommend it. So.
Yeah, sure, of course. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I was asking you.
Of course, with people, it's part of my daily work. Communicating with people and analyzing the features with product managers also. Sometimes hands-on with developers.
Yeah. So, may I have your name? Yilmaz. He's working as a technical director together with, of course, a lot of developers, but with PMs as well. And iterating with them on refinements, I guess, on PRDs, on stories, on epics. That is a good way. You can put those information, those files here. And you could load them up via from Jira directly. You can download it later. I won't go into the MCP part right now, but that is something you definitely would want to do. And you can iterate it, and you can, for example, and I always tell the other side, the PMs more, well, ask the AI like how to think about that feature even from a technical perspective, right? Before you go into a meeting with your technical team, like try to find out like what could be the issues here and what could happen, what questions could be asked from them, and so in advance maybe is a feature a heavy thing, like a tough thing to like is a big feature with a lot of points, or is it a small one that can be done quite quickly? Then you are briefed and you know, okay, we could make this happen in a meeting or something like that. So whatever you're working with mostly, like you want to leave it in the files or in the folders and as files. You can then delete it later, but it makes all the sense because you get all the context. So I heard we are going to make a break in a second. It actually fits quite nicely because that is the first part. We will look into strategy documents in a second, like how to do strategy here. Who has tried to use strategy with the AI before? Like planning, KPI planning, quarterly plannings, yearly plannings. There's someone, yeah, Does it work or did it work? Kind of, okay. There was a no.
But I'm connecting the other tools, like it's chain between different AI.
Nice. Which one? For
example, I'm using ChatGPT and ChatGPT and Gemini and connecting all.
Nice.
And also using Stitch for creating maybe UI and trying to collect them.
Yeah. Exactly, get all the information into one place, build up the context. By the way, this is an introduction into how to work with those tools. If you're further, and this is all common sense to you, you can approach me afterwards. We can go deeper into certain directions to talk about that. I'm offering this to everybody who likes, because with 150 people, we need to start at the beginning and build it up from there, right? So, break for now, and we will continue afterwards.